Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
Good evening, I'm Olamide Adeyemi. This is the news update. President Muhammadu Buhari has met with Jamaican Prime Minister Andrew Holness, lauding the relations between the two countries. The president's spokesman, Mr. Femi Adesina, said the two leaders met on the sidelines of the 26th edition of the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting. In his remarks, Holness said Nigeria had been very supportive of Jamaica, with the two countries having commercial agreements in place. He added that the maiden flight from Lagos to Jamaica about 2 years ago was well received, plus the relationships in the creative industry, sport and finance. While referring to a recent opinion article written by Buhari and published in the international newspapers, Holness said he agreed that the Commonwealth could be more than just a club of friends who have affinity with the United Kingdom and have become an economic powerhouse. Now, the London Metropolitan Police has arrested the Nigerian national Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, Beatrice Nwaneka Ekweremadu, for conspiring to bring a child to the United Kingdom for organ harvesting. While the description given by the police matches that of the former Deputy Senate President Ike Ekweremadu and his wife, neither the lawmaker nor his aides have commented on the development as of the time of publishing this report. But the police added that both have been remanded in custody and will appear at Uxbridge Magistrate Court. The investigation was launched after detectives were alerted to potential offences under modern slavery legislation in May 2022. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has intercepted 1,796 kilograms of hard drugs along Badagry Semi-Expressway and waterways between January and May 2022. The Narcotic Commander, Semi Special Area Command, Abubakar Wada, said that the 40 persons arrested within the period comprised 31 men and 9 women. The seized hard drugs included cocaine, heroin, cannabis, tramadol Oxol, and codeine syrup and diazepam. Wada maintained that the drug abuse was a global issue, and according to him, drug addicts and peddlers need help and not punishment. Now, the Omoteku Corps in Ondo State have arrested a number of persons in connection with the massacre of worshippers at St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo, Ondo State. Addressing newsmen in Akure, the commander of the Corps, Adetunji Adeleye, said everyone involved in the church attack will be brought to book. Meanwhile, the Ondo State Police Command said the force is not aware of such an arrest. Now, the paramount ruler of Panyam in the Mango local government area of Plateau State, His Royal Highness Aminu Dawan, has regained his freedom after 3 days in the captivity of kidnappers. The spokesperson for the State Police Command, Alabu Alfred, confirmed his release. A youth leader in the Payam community, Philip Yakubu, who also confirmed the monarch's release, said that the community had been jubilating since the news of his freedom broke. A few hours after his abduction, the bandits had contacted his family members and demanded the sum of 150 million naira before they could release him. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari wants Nigerians to rise together against the machinations of shadowy figures seeking to set a section of the country against the other. reacting to the latest attack on the church in Kaduna, where a number of worshippers were kidnapped. The president described the perpetrators of the attack as cowards, weak and wicked men with guns, murdering in cold blood unarmed women and children at their places of worship. The president observed that the citizens' religious freedom and their diversity are the backbone of Nigeria's greatness. He urged Nigerians to stay focused and not be divided by what he described as planned and politically motivated criminal outrages. The newly appointed Senate Minority Leader, Philip Aduda, says he is optimistic that the caucus of the People's Democratic Party in the state will form the majority in the Senate. Aduda noted that as the new minority leader, there will be challenges but will be surmounted. There have been a gale of defections from the All Progressive Congress in the National Assembly. Now, the chairperson, House of Representatives Committee on INEC, Honorable Aisha Duku, has said that the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, has promised to extend the ongoing voters' registration by 60 days after considering other modalities. This clarification came after it was initially reported that the electoral umpire has extended the voters' registration by 60 days. The spokesman of the House, Honorable Benjamin Kalu, and the chairperson, Honorable Aisha Duku, briefed the House of Representatives correspondents to clear the air and put the record straight on the issue.
INEC Chairman Professor Mahmood Yakubu came with many commissioners to answer the call of the House. That registration of voters is one aspect. There are other, schedules, other milestones that have to be achieved, which the chairman explained. Such include the printing of the voters' cards, the distribution of the voters' card, and then the printing of lists of even all persons registered in all the 774 local governments nationwide. And so it will not be possible, this is his statement, for INEC to extend to the days we requested. However, they will go back and look at their timelines and then look at how possible, how best they can, be able to make it to increase, the days for registration.
There was never a time the chairman of the committee announced to the House that INEC has extended the registration to 60 days from 30th of June. That was a misrepresentation which we don't know where it's coming from, and we want you to retract. For those of you who has published that, it never happened. But as the mover of the motion, what I put across for the House to consider was for it to be extended for 60 days, having in mind of the 90 days of the publishing of this particular register, 90 days of publishing of other issues that they have to do, because many people think it's only registration that INEC handles. There are other responsibilities that the Electoral Act has given to INEC, to the extent that INEC is beginning to ask for other commissions to come out of them to be able to, help them with the job that they are doing. It's a lot of job that is in their hands.
Moving to other part of Africa, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson is set to defend his government's immigration partnership with Rwanda if the heir to the British throne, Prince Charles, raises it with him when the two meet. British newspapers have reported that Charles had privately criticized the plans under which asylum seekers will be deported to Rwanda.
Anybody who comes in, I'm delighted that all that Prince Charles and everybody is here today to see a country that is, I think, undergone a complete transformation, or a very, very substantial transformation. And
are you willing to defend the policy should he raise it?
I think that people need to keep an open mind about the policy. The critics need to keep an open mind about it. I think a lot of people can see its obvious merits. And yeah, of course, if I'm seeing the Prince tomorrow, of course I'm going to make that point.
You'll defend it if he raises it?
yeah, I mean, it hasn't come up so far, but of course.
And outside Africa, Russia and Iran have been cooperating as part of international effort to stabilize oil and gas markets. This is according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who also said there was full agreement within the OPEC Plus group of leading global oil producers on the need to safeguard Iran's interests and its activities. He added that Moscow fully supports the revival of the 2015 nuclear deal between Iran and major powers after talks in Tehran with its Iranian counterparts. And in business, the International Monetary Fund has released nearly $216 for Senegal after a review of its aid programs for the West African country. According to the executive board of the IMF has revised down its 2022 growth forecast for the country to around 5%, while the inflation is expected to reach 5.5%, driven by rising food and energy prices. Africa must wean itself off dependence on food and medicine imports, so says the president of the African Development Bank in Kigali on the sidelines of a meeting of Commonwealth leaders. Akinwumi Adesina said the AFDB had approved the creation of a pharmaceutical tech foundation and began processing requests for food relief. Africa was hit hard by the economic fallout from the coronavirus pandemic. The bank last month approved a $1.5 billion financing facility for emergency food production with the aim of averting a looming food crisis. The funds are meant to help 20 million farmers produce 38 million tons of food. Still in business, Wall Street's main indexes rose as Asian government bond yields lifted some high-growth stocks while investors awaited business activity data and Federal Reserve Chair's testimony to Congress. The Dow Jones Industrial Average rose 0.29% at the open to 30,570.33. The S&P 500 opened higher by 0.39% at 3,774.71, while the Nasdaq Composite gained 0.77% to 11,137.68 at the opening bell. And finally in sport, FIFA, the World Cup football governing body, has released its ranking for June, with the Super Eagles now ranked 4th on the continent and 31st on the planet. The 2013 Africa Cup of Nations champions were previously ranked 30th globally and 3rd in Africa, behind only top-ranking Senegal and 2nd place Morocco. But the Super Eagles dropped a step down to make room for Tunisia. The Carthage Eagles, now 30th in the world and 3rd on the continent. Cameroon's Indomitable Lions complete the top 5 ranking teams in Africa. And Nigeria's recent 2 international friendly matches, however, appear to have affected the national team standing. Elsewhere, former world champions Brazil retained their place at the top of the standing, having replaced Belgium in March. Belgium, Argentina, France, and England make up the top 5. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on our Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel, Plus TV Africa and Plus TV Africa Lifestyle. I'm Olamide Adeyemi. Many thanks for watching.
There is no voting on social media. To vote, you would require a permanent voter's card. To get your PVC, visit cvr.inecnigeria.org. Create your account with a valid email address and start the registration process. An activation link will be sent to you. Click on the link and activate your account. Fill out the form, pick and submit a convenient date and time for your biometrics. Print the application slip, which should have your QR code. On the appointed date, go to the nearest INEC office for your biometric capturing. Thereafter, you will get a registration slip to pick your permanent voter's card when ready. Get your PVC today. This message is from Plus TV Africa.
This is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Lagos Island has imposing architectural structures dotted on each side of the road, filled with people who are not sure if they will be locked out from their homes next year due to rental fee hikes. The buildings on the other side of the road wear an empty, forlorn look. Beggars are always on the streets. A thin, middle-aged man in an oversized jacket comes towards my window. In impeccable English, he explains that he is not a beggar, but a medical doctor who worked in the hospital about 3 blocks from the right side of the street we were on. He has an accent that must be from Cross River State, unmistakably lyrical. He says his daughter is in terrible shape. She has a ruptured appendix and was admitted in the same hospital where he worked. I'm trying to raise money for my daughter, but we haven't been paid for about 6 months now. It was difficult to tell truth from falsehood in Lagos. Poverty taught most people the art of deceit as a means of livelihood. Today, I discover an even more ingenious way of begging meant to jolt one's physical and spiritual sensibilities. At the junction just before the traffic lights, a man who looks like he was a few seconds away from being called to be with the Lord is being pushed around in a wheelchair by a dreary-looking assistant. After a few minutes, the assistant stops pushing the wheelchair and takes up his bullhorn to tell the story of how the man has an orange-sized tumor on his face. He makes a feverish pitch for funds that will be for treatment. God bless you as you give. God shall water your garden as you donate to this cause, he bellowed. Motorists avoid them as if they just escaped a leper colony. The two men are indifferent and remain resolute in their quest. My name is Eriye Onogoroa. I work in an energy company, so apart from being an author, that's what else I do. So to be honest, so I used to work in another company, and you get to that stage in your career where you feel like your life is stuck in a rut. Like you wake up every morning and you're like, okay, we have to do this again. Nothing is challenging. It's just you just know you're built for more. So that's the stage I was in. I'll go to work just completely dissatisfied. And, we had friends, how it is in the office. We'll talk about, all the things happening and not happening to us. And then it was just every day we were complaining. And then one day I said to myself, I said, Eri, but you're right, yeah? Because I started writing from when I was like 8 years. And I said, instead of complaining, look inwards and do something. And literally, that's how Dear Alare was born. So it was at a point in my life where I was just completely yearning for more and dissatisfied with where I was in my career. I like that question because when I was writing, for me, it was almost like a sense of urgency to pass a message, and the message was principally to live your life, your best life, in spite of anything that may be happening around you. You would have challenges, but own your voice, tell your story, and just be authentic. So for me, it was very important to pass that message across and let anybody reading to say, you know what, I mean, these challenges are not uncommon. Everybody faces them. But you can still live your moment. You can still live your best life as you pass through these challenges. For me, when I wrote that in particular, I was looking to talk about life in Lagos. And I use Lagos as a metaphor for Nigeria because, Lagos is where everything happens. So for me, it was important to bring out all the kind of things that we see in society that should not be, poverty that really shouldn't be because of the abundance of resources, and the fact that you see a lot of people who don't have as much, just more or less just tending towards, okay, we need to have more babies, almost like a pastime, like, okay, since I can't have this, I can't have this. So that was the thinking behind, this. In terms of themes, I thought to look at the patriarchal culture in Nigeria. I thought to put an X-ray on life in Lagos, and the fact that really and truly, at the end of the day, we sort of exist in Lagos. We don't live, we don't thrive. You wake up every day, you spend roughly, depending on where you are, roughly 4 to 5 hours in traffic. And you get back home and you sleep, and it's like an endless rut. Yeah, so those are the kind of things I was trying to look at, the challenges women face in the office. Not just in the office, what they're going through internally. For Alare, Alare didn't have a child, so she was facing all that, and yet she needed to be in the office to be her best. So things like that, those were the kind of things I was looking to talk about: the patriarchal culture, infertility challenges, just the whole chaos, what it really takes to live in a place like Lagos. Because it was important for me to tell the story that the fact that a lady gives birth to a girl has nothing to do with her, and the fact that as a girl does not lessen the significance of the child. So that's very important for me to say there. We find it, like you said, in Nigeria, and it hasn't changed. Well, maybe, our voices are being more amplified, so people are getting more aware, but it's still there. When a child is born, depending on the sex, the blame game, shifts. And another thing I wanted to point out so strongly was What if it's the man at fault? Because what tends to happen in marriages is the lady takes the blame, because society has been trained to see the woman to blame where there are challenges with childbearing. But what if it's the man's fault? So those are the kind of questions I was trying to throw light on in the book. Not very well, to be honest, because growing up, it was almost like a taboo. My dad didn't want to hear anybody speaking Pidgin, so it was like, well, I say by force, we had to learn. But, you know, a story like that, I had to use Pidgin to reflect the characters. So someone like Alhaji Wasiu, typical characters that, you know, would necessarily speak Pidgin English. It was important for me to reflect that in the story so that the reader understands that, you know, just the different strata in society and the levels of people that we have. I would say, tell your story unapologetically. Because somebody also asked me, and I said, but you can't live life just expecting to be validated or not validated. Yeah, so for me it was important to pass a message. For me it was important to tell my story. The validation secondary, because I will do it the same way, you know, whether or not whatever anybody thought or thinks about Dear Alaure, I will tell my story, because it's important at the end of the day, when you go to bed, be satisfied that you have done what truly makes you happy as a writer. And some people just have a lot of stories in there just waiting to, you know, to come out. But it's that fear of acceptance. And really and truly, you can't live life waiting to be accepted by everybody. It's just not the way to do things. I would say that is changing, to be honest. I mean, a lot of reading clubs springing up rather. A lot of, no, I would say it's changing. I know that, you know, just even surviving in Nigeria is an art. So you find quite a number of people probably not having the time to read, but I don't think it's fair to say that we don't read. I think things are really, really changing.
Switch to on, light on. Switching commander, internal. Expectedly back, DW. Still same pressure, 16-11-50. Your nav state with back and is perfect.
Thursday, Plus Sports and Plus TV Africa. Welcome on the show. Now, my name is Wally Scott, and there are too many good things to talk about this morning. Good news, lots of good news this morning. Now, the Nigeria's under-17 team, the women's team, the Flamingos, will know their opponents in the group stage of the World Cup on Friday. That's tomorrow. Now, 16 countries have qualified for the biennial competition to be staged in India. The draw will be held at the FIFA headquarters in Zurich, Switzerland. Now, China PR, Japan, New Zealand, USA, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, Germany, Spain, France, Morocco, Nigeria, Tanzania, and hosts India are the teams battling it out for glory at the 7th edition of the FIFA Under-17 World Cup. Now, India 2022 will take place between 11th and 30th October. The competition was earlier billed to hold last year, but was postponed due to the coronavirus pandemic. I've got Stanley Ikawu on the show with me today. Stanley, welcome on the show.
Wally, good morning. It's always a pleasure to be with you on the show.
Now, some good news, Stanley. Our Eaglets have qualified. Our Flamingos have qualified. We do better with our underaged teams. And thank God, thankfully, they are all back.
Wally, congratulations to the outgoing Amadou Pili-led NFF boss. Like they say, it's better late than never.
Yeah.
But then this is something we would have achieved, and of course, our football would have been at the world map